Such a great topic today, I think. As so often happens when I plan out one of these, a Webinar Wednesday, when I dive in and start doing my due diligence and start trying to fill in the gaps of my own knowledge beyond where I use these tools, sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised by, I've just hit a gold mine of different ideas and different concepts. And tutorials and walkthroughs is one for me. For so long, I've created tutorial videos, how-to videos for YouTube. And so I've very much got in the railroad tracks of creating that sort of content where we show people a concept, but we don't necessarily take them step by step through a process and teach them actually how to do something, but instead we spend most of our time teaching people what they can do and answering some simple answers, but not really teaching them a total process. Diving into the whole concept of walkthroughs and tutorials expands that knowledge base of just teaching people what you can do to actually teaching them step by step what they can do. And the benefits are so profound when we create this sort of a tutorial or this sort of a walkthrough. So the tools that we're going to take a look at today and the techniques are going to be used in so many really practical ways. From onboarding new people, bringing new members into a community, or bringing new people into your business, making sure that they understand all of your standard operating procedures, the best way to do things, how things are accomplished. We can create content for support documents where if somebody's having a problem with something, you can walk them step by step through the process, giving them every step, every click of the way, going through and making it so that they can either follow along with you or watch it, learn, and then do it themselves. For training materials, in advance of eliminating the need for that support call, if we create great training materials that get people started off on the right foot and understanding what it is we're trying to accomplish, so much the better. And it is so much easier now to create these sorts of resources than it has been in the past. Some of these tools I think are just gonna blow your mind. We use it for troubleshooting. If we do a flipped classroom approach, where instead of the people who create the software and teach the software, you create the videos or create the tutorials or walkthroughs, instead the people who are having troubles and say, look, this is a problem I'm having here, and then send it into the people who can fix it for troubleshooting. You can use it for marketing. You can create how-to tutorials on how to do some process, and then you can share that in exchange for people's email addresses so that you can start to build trust and build a relationship with those people. You can use it for straight up content. You're writing a blog post about something, you can actually have step-by-step instructions on something related to that inside of your blog post, and it doesn't take an inordinate amount of time to create that additional bit of content, that additional asset for whatever it is you're creating, be it a blog post or a social post or what have you. All of these are different use cases that we find for tutorials and walkthroughs, and you probably have more. I'm probably just scratching the surface. Now, the benefits of these are consistency and efficiency. Every time we create something and document something that we can share with multiple people, we can create a consistent approach to it where people are doing things the right way. Therefore, the whole system works better. If everybody's filling in the right fields and doing them in the right order and putting the right pieces in place, then everything in your enterprise should run more smoothly. So we gain efficiency, we gain productivity. The people who are doing it gain clarity and they gain understanding and they get confidence that they can do it. And the productivity just goes through the roof because you're teaching people how to do something once and it's being replicated over and over again with all the new people that need to learn that process. There is so much goodness to the whole idea of walkthroughs and tutorials. I hope that you find and get as excited about the value as I've gotten in preparing this. So we're going to take a look at these tools today. We're going to take a look at their kind of these basic areas. I'm not going to go into each and every one of them in detail. Some of them we've covered in the past. Some of them you should already know about. But basically, you've got your screen recorder type tools. Tools like Loom, we'll show you Loom in a second, or QuickTime or Vidyard. They're usually browser-based extensions, things you plug into your browser that when you invoke them, they will start recording whatever it is happening on your browser screen. And they will record it as a video. You can add other elements. You can usually add a video of yourself speaking if you want your face on video or your voiceover as you do the process. And then you can edit that in a very pedestrian way, not fancy like a screencast, but in a very practical way, and then with some sort of a submission engine so that you can easily create a link or download the document to share it. Especially good for that troubleshooting aspect where I'm having trouble doing this. Look, this is what I'm seeing. How can we fix this? And sharing it with the company that you're working with. We also have screencasting, which is the way that I produce all of these tutorials, the way that I create my videos for YouTube. Very similar to Screen Recorder, but the software that we use is far more elaborate as far as giving us a lot of editorial control over what we see on the screen, of adding different assets, incorporating other elements, B-roll and music, and zooming in and out and adding graphics and turning, instead of just being a straight up recording of the screen that we're walking through as though we're sitting next to somebody, but we create a full produced package, a video package that we use, much like the video that you were looking at right now. Then there's the simple screen capture, just showing you this is the message that I'm getting on my screen. That could be a still capture or it could be a moving capture, but typically we'll use a tool, Snagit, for something like that. But another way of capturing the screen is capturing a series of screenshots that you can then document and that you can use to build a process. And that's one that I'll be showing you, especially a new tool now called Scribe. And then you can MacGyver your own systems together, because if we can record it on the screen, we can use it. So a tool like Zoom, even the free version of Zoom, you can record yourself sharing your screen with your video and audio, and you can create a screencast by recording from a Zoom call, pretty much the same way as Loom and many of those others. You don't necessarily have all the sharing and the sharing and management side as far as being able to create a link to share to others and to edit it in quite the same way. But for basic, simple, this is what's happening. Let me record it for you really quickly. You can MacGyver your own system using a tool like Zoom. So let's jump in, and I'm going to show you 3 tools, and we'll see how we're doing for time. I'm going to show you the basic screen recording type processes that we would do in a Loom, and then I'm going to show you Scribe. And that one is the one that made me sit up and take notice. It's the one that really started this whole process. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we do the same kind of thing in a tool like Snagit. But let's start with straight up video. This is what's happening on my computer, and I want to share it with somebody else. And we're going to look at the tools that a tool like Zoom and many others that are related to it offer us. Let's start things off with what's one of really the most basic of video tools, one that many of us have used in the past when it comes to the old guard of screen recording tools, and that's Loom. And Loom was first, it came to my attention first really as an education tool so that teachers and others could record what was happening on the computer screen and make a quick video of it. Now there are a few parts to a tool like Loom, and there are many competitors for Loom. Vidyard has a product. There's a lot of different screen recorders that do this. But effectively what happens is we have a creation phase, which is where we, inside of our browser window, it acts as a browser plugin. It captures the different assets and it creates a video for us. Usually it'll capture our video feed, if it's set up for that, our audio, and the screen itself. It'll then save that as a file, usually allowing us to edit that file in some way, and then to take that file and create an environment where we can share it with others, either as a link or as an attachment, so that we can show others exactly what's happening. And in some advanced cases, it allows you to have a conversation around that, and actually acts as a chat engine where you can actually have conversations and comments on what it is you shared and go back and forth, so it becomes a bit of a conversation and an iterative process. But they all start the same way, which is this concept of us using it as a recorder. So let me jump back into my browser here and say, let's say that I want to show somebody how to create one of our webinars for Webinar Wednesday. And so I've got the Demio software here. I got my webinar software open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into my extensions and I'm going to start up Loom, which I have installed as a browser extension here in Chrome. And I'm going to start it up, and I'm going to choose the resources that I want to use. Now I've got a couple of different cameras plugged into my computer here. I'm going to choose this camera here, which is my video camera, my main video camera. It has my proper audio system selected so that it can record the audio. And here are my options to record the full desktop or a current tab. So I can just record the screen that I'm on, the browser that I'm on. But if I need to jump out into an application or into the desktop and show things that happen there, I can choose to record the full desktop instead of just the tab that I'm in. I can also, if I want to have a background and I don't want to actually record the screen itself, but I just want to record my video, I can set up a canvas behind us. And so there are some other options that are fancier as we go along. But for the most part, I'm just going to leave my video down here in the corner and I'm going to start recording. And this is a very typical example of how you'd end up using it. I click start recording. It then, once my microphone is muted here, I'm going to start recording and choose which screen I want to share. And I am going to count me down. 3, 2, 1. And now I'm recording here inside of Loom. So I would typically say, okay, if you're going to be creating a new webinar, you have to go over into the events tab here in the top and create add a new event. When you create add a new event, it's going to ask you whether you want a standard or a series. We always set up just single one-off standards. You type in the title and the name of the webinar, and then you click continue and you go on to the next phase, which is where you add the schedule for the webinar. And I'm going to stop it here. Let me just stop the Loom recording at this point here. There it is. That is stopped. And that's the process you go through. You'd record the video. Once it's all recorded, then you've got a playback that you can view. Now I'm recording here. And you can edit it by trimming it, by adding calls to action, by adding a few different things to it. But the key to a tool like this is this button here at the top, which is share. You can share this where they will host this video so that you can then share a link with others, or you can download it as an embed. But you can take this link and I could share it with somebody else and I could say, this is how we do this process. I could take that link, I could embed it in a document saying, this is how we do the process. And we have created, in the simplest form, a tutorial here using a simple tool like Loom. And everything that I've shown you, you can do for free with Loom. Now, this is useful for creating these standard kind of walkthroughs, but one of the places people find most value, and we end up using it a lot ourselves, is somebody says, I'm having trouble logging into this, or I'm having trouble with this process in our membership area. We ask them to create a screen recording, share it with us, and I can see exactly what's happening on their screen, far easier than us trying to explain it verbally. When there's a bug in a piece of software, when one of the companies that I do a lot of business with has a bug, this is usually the way that I will show them and share the bug with them. I'll recreate it here inside of Loom, share the link with them, and they can view it, because all they have to do is open their browser, or open their email, click on the link, and they can view the video. This is a terrific baseline way of creating simple tutorials and walkthroughs. Now, we can graduate to the next level of this if we jump into a tool like Camtasia or ScreenFlow, which we use for creating our full-on screencasts, and we can add a lot more elements. But this gives you a really good idea of the most simple, basic way of creating video tutorials and walkthroughs. Now, let's talk about step-by-step. Now, recording a video like we did in Loom or one in Camtasia or ScreenFlow allows us to create a walkthrough or a video that people can watch. They can see the issue, they can see the concept, and then they can stop the video and they can go and they can do it themselves. That's one style of communication. Step by step is another entire process. Step by step is where you have an instruction sheet and you follow it step by step and you do the thing and then you move on to the next thing and you do the next thing. Typically speaking, we use printed documents. We use PDFs, so your IKEA instructions for putting together your Uberflunken. That is step by step. You look at this picture, you get the right screw, you tighten the thing down, and then you move on to the next step. So creating those sorts of tutorials can be so valuable because people can follow you step by step through the process. Now, we can always do this by creating a series of screenshots and just manufacturing it ourselves. And in fact, we've shown you in the past inside of Snagit, there's a great tool for using a template, using a form for grabbing multiple screenshots and then distributing them inside of a form. All of that works very well. But what was really exciting is when we combine the power of the video, the kind of the flexibility and the convenience of recording a process in video and converting that into step-by-step instructions. And for that, I'm going to introduce you to a product which has really excited me. It's called Scribe. The website for Scribe is scribehow.com, because Scribe is unfortunately a brand, the name of products that is used in a lot of different areas. So if you go to scribe.com, you won't find it. It's scribehow.com, and we'll of course include a link. And this is where you go to see how this tool works and to download it. And everything again that I'm going to show you today is free. The recorder works in Chrome, Edge, and on the desktop. And let me just show you, because I think that Scribe is, you can tell that I'm fairly excited about it. I'm first of all just going to fire up a brand new tab here in my browser, and I'm going to open up my CRM here, our CRM for you, because this is typically speaking something that we'd want to teach somebody how to do step by step, and setting up the different processes that we do week after week inside of here has to be done very accurately. So teaching somebody new how to do the process that I do, for example, in setting up all of our tutorials, that's really crucial for our company to make sure that it's done properly. So let me show you the process. I'm going to first of all go in and I'm going to fire up Scribe right here. When I open Scribe, I can start a recording. And this is the best of both worlds. I record it like a screen recorder, but then I'm going to be able to edit it like a step-by-step instruction booklet. Let me show you. I'm going to click Start Recording, and it says Capture has started. So I'm going to say, if you want to set up the weekly automation that we have, first thing we do is we go into automations, and I don't actually have to talk through this because it's not recording my voiceover. You create an automation. This is what I do each week, guys. I start from scratch, and then what I do is will have created a trigger over inside of ActiveCampaign where an event is recorded. Inside of ActiveCampaign, inside of Thinkific. And in Thinkific, I have to select the course that I have created, which is a product purchased. Let me scroll right down to product purchased. And then we have it right there. We go FF. This week's is FF54. Add that as a start point. Then what we do is we add the contact, subscribe it to one of our lists so that we can know that they have taken in Foundational Friday. And we add that and we save it as a step. Then we go through and we add another step, and we also add a tag to the person, and that tag is purchase tag so that I know that they've bought it. FF54 is the one that in this particular case that they've purchased, and I save that. And then I can add other triggers, and then I can add here, I can add conditions and workflow, and I end this automation. Once you've ended the automation, you go through and you name it as Purchase FF, Foundational Friday, and then you go through and you set it to active and save. That's the process. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording. See, I've got the recording button here. I'm going to stop the recording, and now the magic happens. Scribe takes the process that we just did, and it converts it into this document, which we'll be able to later convert. And each step of this document, I can go through and I can affirm, I can edit, and I can make changes. Look at this. This is so very useful. So the whole thing begins, and first of all, we can name it. They tell you what website to go to, what link to go to, so that once this is saved, there'll be links inside of it where there's a URL for them to go to. And first of all, you start as you go to automations. Click on automations. Click create an automation. Click start from scratch. Click continue. Then you click event is recorded. And then I could change this. Look at this. It's completed course Facebook ads. I can instead say, find new course saved in Thinkific. So that obviously in that particular case, I would have told them in a previous tutorial how to create the course in Thinkific. And then I can say, click on the actual course. New course, and then go through And each step of the way, you've got it documented, and you can edit this as you go. Now, in the paid version of this, you can insert other screenshots, you can insert other graphics and other elements. This is just the most basic version, but oh my gosh, this is so useful, and this is all free. Let's just say done editing for now, and let's go into the share options. We can take this and we can email it to others, we can embed it to others, we can export it, and if we export it, we can export it as a PDF. It'll take a few minutes. I'll show you the results, and I'll share the results of this in the resource document when we're done. But here we see step by step the instructions that people do. So if you were having to do this task for me, you could have this open in a separate window, or on the side of the window, you can have Active Campaign open in a window in the computer, and you can go through and you can navigate through it. As I do each step, we can move this down, move this over like that. You can have Active Campaign. Let's go back to Active Campaign here, and let's have it open. Oh, sorry, I have it. Where is it? There we go. There we go. Have it open there. And so as I'm going step by step through this process, I can be going step by step through the process here inside of Active Campaign at the same time. How useful is that? Before we leave this, let's take a look at those other sharing options that we talked about. We can download it here, obviously as a PDF, but we can also copy this link, and if we paste the link into the browser, anybody who we share that link with will have the browser-based version of the same tutorial and walkthrough available to you. So this is Scribe. This is available in the free version. The paid version gives you a few other features, including a custom domain and the ability to do more editing within the slides and to be able to create more of a dialogue around the different slides that you create or the different tutorials and walkthroughs you create. But a tool like this can just streamline a process just incredibly fast. And think about the things that I talked about that we would want to use this sort of a tool for. We want to use it for onboarding and training and creating standard. You can see how these tools support each and every one of these, including the content, including the ability to be able to create content that you can then take a part of this and put it, say, into a blog post. That is, that to me is just a terrific tool. I should point out that we can do much of the same stuff without the same level of automation, but we can create the same sort of documented tutorial walkthrough step-by-step guides using Snagit, which is the screen capture tool that we like to use. One of the reasons Snagit is so good is you can create those sort of tutorial walkthroughs, but it also stores for us an entire library of all of our different screen grabs that we've done over time, which makes it incredibly useful for finding old things that I think I captured that document, or I took a screenshot of that back then. You can find it and search based on all of your history within Snagit. But you can also capture videos in Snagit, and so it works very similar to Loom for sharing kind of explanation videos of this is what's happening on my screen and doing a very quick and dirty screen capture. Now, I'm not going to share with you right now how to create the tutorial walkthroughs inside of Snagit, because we did a YouTube video on that not too long ago. We'll just share the link with you in the resources if you are a Snagit user in order to understand how to do those different processes. So let's summarize by taking a look at the features that we're looking for in all of these, in all of our tutorial and walkthrough tools. First of all, they all have to have the ability to be able to capture the relevant information into some form that we can then edit. It has to be able to capture it either in real time as a recording or asynchronously by doing a series of screen captures and then later on assembling them. We obviously have to be able to edit them into something comprehensive that we can share. Then we need to be able to output them as a standalone video, as a PDF document that we can share, or in some sort of an interactive mode, a link where we can offer a link to people, or an embed in our website so that we can share it with people effectively. And obviously, the sharing is a big part of that. Most of these services offer some sort of a hosting service so that we can create a link and they can go directly to it and view it as a web page, the way that we just showed you that we could do inside of Scribe. So that's an overview of some of the tutorial and walkthrough tools that we wanted to share with you today. The next level of this software, the kind of the next thing that you find in it is, actually I should add another thing there because I just thought of something. The next level of these sort of tutorial and walkthroughs is, first of all, the ability to be able to test, to be able to share with people the information, but they have them test, and then be able to grade them on those tests. And part of that is also the walkthrough interactivity side, where you ask people a series of questions in a walkthrough format, and then based on their answers, you tree them and branch them into different information, and then you give them different results. This is a terrific onboarding thing where if you're trying to, say, find the right plan for somebody to purchase, you ask them, how many subscribers do you have? What's your monthly budget? How many emails do you send? This is the proper tool for you to use, where you do some calculations built into it. That's another style of walkthrough which is interactive. The ones that we've been looking at today are primarily tutorial in nature, but as you can see, this is a topic that we'll probably return to at some time in the not too distant future. Let's get to the Q&A.